Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take It from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we go to LA to Melissa Painter. I met her on LinkedIn and I was like, I need to talk to her. And it probably took a few times to reach out to her, but finally I got her and here we are. Melissa, introduce yourself because your story is so amazing. The world needs to know what you're doing. And first of all, congrats and thank you for the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for reaching out. Very, very happy to be here with you and your community. I am Melissa Painter. I'm the founder of a tool, a microbreak tool called Breakthru, which is being used by people in 150 countries and 45,000 organizations of all different shapes and sizes. So preschools in Poland and Harvard, large hospitals, big corporations and small. But it's a tool that people are using to take movement and breathing-based breaks in the flow of their work and school day. And before that, once upon a time, when I was young, I directed films for a living. And basically my whole life, I've been an experience designer and an anti-technology technologist.
And now you're using technology in a way to communicate, I would say.
I am using technology to help you remember that the best piece of technology you own is in fact your own body. And if you just give it some moments during the flow of your day, you'll feel better, but you'll also think better.
I found that on your website where it says, sitting kills your ability to think clearly. So tell us more about that, how it all came about. And obviously I'm a runner, I've done Ironman, but sitting is the new smoking these days, right?
Yeah, it's funny. One thing is there's very heavy duty neuroscience behind it. So we do know this to be factually, scientifically true. But a good place to start to think about it is just to ask yourself, have you ever gotten stuck on a problem, on an idea, and then gone for a walk and a solution comes to you? And there's not a person on the planet for whom they don't answer yes to that question. And there is a science behind that. It's because when we move rhythmically, when we're moving our body, it activates part of our brain and it turns a noisy part of our brain off. And so those more generative, creative ideas actually have a chance of stepping forward. And that's why you feel that flash of a fresh idea, a thing that you were looking for. A lot of the kinds of work that we do at work today is a different kind of cognitive functioning. It's demanding attention, focus, task-based work. There's a real sense of adrenaline and being always on. And to be honest, it actually burns cognitive energy, mental energy to sit still. Yet most of us don't know that. We're taught when we're little, you have to think hard. So sit still and pay attention. But you can only do that for a certain amount of time. And so Breakthru is about inviting back in what we naturally need, which is these moments of movement and pause.
And Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence, he says you need to get away from the computer. And this is when breakthroughs are coming. No change will happen in front of the computer. So it's also that movement. And you said it, right? We need to move and the problems will go away, or we have many different insights when we step away from the computer. So important.
Yeah, it's interesting. You were harkening back or mentioning that you're a runner. Some of how we found these truths in our research, I've spoken to over 4,000 athletes, and some of them have been Olympians and others have been high school basketball players. It's like every range of level. And then I've also spoken to people who have mobility impairments or don't move at all. Or who've had severe injuries. And you learn a lot from people who are using their body at its peak or at its edge. But the things that we can learn from them really deeply apply to us all. So a lot of Breakthru's like original research is based on that. How do we take the insights that someone has, when they run a marathon. I've interviewed every female ultra runner on the planet, including the person that holds all of the world records. That is a sport unlike any other. The thing that's very interesting around athletes is they will always tell you that it's the mind that is the differentiator in the end, right? Their mindset. Well, I will tell you, for those of us humans who are sitting around chained to a desk most of the day, the body can be the differentiator if we actually give it some space.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, what is that a lot of your sense of potential, what a challenge looks like or feels like, has to do with how your mindset is arranged to it, framing it. Does it feel like overwhelm, or does it feel like you can take one small step? I was just referring to a lot of the research that we've done with athletes about how they get themselves to these peak performances. They practice. They figure out how to break it down into these things so it doesn't feel insurmountable. And then they set their mindset to remember things like, oh, well, stress and excitement can feel somewhat the same. If I have butterflies in my stomach, maybe it means I'm actually ready to pole vault. We have an Olympian pole vaulter as a brand ambassador. Okay, so then for the rest of us, a lot of our intelligence actually resides in our entire body, right? So we have more than 5 senses. You have 28 senses to be exact. And 2 of them, proprioception, interoception, awareness of your body in space, awareness of your internal body state. Those things actually are part of our human intelligence. They feed what we can cognitively understand. And when we turn those things off, when you're holding your breath at work, or when you are so disassociated from your body or your feelings that you can't even tell if your heart is beating fast, you're actually impairing your ability to see patterns and to make decisions. There's a beautiful test that was run, actually 2 that relate to this, where they stacked a deck of cards completely set up to cheat. If you were paying attention, you would eventually notice. And the difference between who saw the pattern first was people who actually had strong interoception. So people who knew what was going on with their heartbeats because their body told them, hey, something's wrong here, before they consciously could see it. And there's been similar studies that have been done on traders, on the stock traders. You get the guy who does not have the Harvard MBA, and yet he's always the one picking the right stock. And when they've looked at that deeply, what they've seen is that those tend to be people who have stronger interoception, because your body subconsciously sees the pattern before you can see it consciously. So you have the choice. You can turn that off, or you can lean into that intelligence. And that's just one piece, because I'm leaving out emotional sensitivity, all these other things that happen when we make room for the kinds of intelligence that's in our body.
It's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm learning so much. And how did it all start for you? We know you have a bachelor's in ancient Greek and MFA in filmmaking. What triggered you to do Breakthru?
I have a path that looks very wandering, but the constants have always been constant. So since I was quite little, I knew that nature was a tremendous source of well-being for us all. When I was quite little, I knew that doing something in your body where you did the unexpected, you climbed to the top of a tree or you did a handstand, gave you a feeling of confidence and joy that then changed how you felt in other parts of your day. And when I was quite little, I knew that we all learn by doing, and we are full-bodied thinkers and doers. And so my whole life, be it directing a movie that was taking people to 5th generation ranches in Montana with gorgeous nature and natural light, or inventing some immersive experience, really what I've always been trying to do is remind people that things can change for the better in a very short period of time. And that sometimes you just have to be awake to the moment to let that happen. I also have always been really curious about what's going wrong in modern society with the things that we're building and making. And I see technology as the source of an enormous percentage of the negativity that we're seeing in the world right now. I like that as a sticky problem. How do you get in there and make space for something better to happen? And unfortunately, in this day and age, for things to reach scale, the technological route is a fast way to get there.
And a quick way.
Yeah.
A quick way. And it's kind of like, we think we have quick solutions, but is it the right solution that we're trying to find?
Yeah, no, you're right. And that whole idea of quick, easy, and the wrong kind of part of technology has caused so many problems.
What is your vision for 2026 for your organization, but also for yourself?
Breakthru has been extremely lucky that we've captured the imagination and the engagement of many people in many different kinds of places around the world. And that's what drives us forward, is hearing the voices of people that are taking breaks with it in their day-to-day, for whom it's making a difference. One of the things that we see happening right now at the same time is that more thinkers around the world are starting to bring up this difference between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. And we very much feel that we're part of that conversation. When I look in the year to come, I am happy that people are raising those questions about what are durable skills? What is human intelligence? What are we trying to train? What is work? And continuing to be a very active part of that conversation is what hoping is the case for us in 26.
Yeah. Future of work. So then, can you give us some tips for the listeners? Obviously, standing up is much better than sitting, or what else?
It's really remembering that time can stretch, right? So the space of 2 minutes can actually be enough if you just take 5 deep breaths, stand up, move, to let go of whatever just happened, get ready for the next thing, and finding a practice of just imposing that upon yourself, allowing for there to be a few of those moments. The funniest thing about breaks is that they're so good for you and they're also so hard to take.
Yeah.
They really are. And they tend to be the hardest for people who, in many ways, are the most amazing. They're the hardest for nurses. They're the hardest for leaders who care so much about their team, they don't want to stop. They're the hardest for people who are doing mission-based work where they know that what they're contributing is essential. Yet, honestly, the truth is, the science is, you just burn yourself out when you don't. And so taking stock, like what's your feeling at the end of the day? Is it overwhelm? Well, then does it feel different if you just give yourself a few of these breathers? And I will venture the answer will be yes. That's one of the nicest things in the world about the human body. And we were talking about that before this started, that it's magical that in the space of 2 minutes, you can turn your metabolism back on. You can re-engage your senses. You can get your cognitive functioning in the space of 2 minutes back up for 2 hours in duration in terms of focus. So small moment, big impact.
What do you do to recharge your batteries? How much are you walking the talk, what you're offering to the world? And what do you do maybe outside of work that can be inspiring for the listeners?
I am walking the talk for sure. I do take my breaks, but I'm also a female founder with a young company, which means my work week may look like 7 days and long days, but taking those moments. And yes, I use my own tool. I also walk to the cafe that's just out the window. I take my dog to the beach. I go for hikes. I go swimming. I do all those other forms of movement. But for me, I also work a remote job. And so it's a break to get on a call with a friend or a colleague and talk about nothing, just to have that moment of connection. And all of those things count. Gardening, cooking, watering your plant, etc.
So it seems like simple things, right? We always think like we have to, outside of work, we need to climb Mount Everest, but it's actually the small things that can bring joy to us and make a difference when we're outside.
You know, it's funny because if you look cross-culturally, there's been knowledge about this for a long time, right? So why are haikus so short, for example? What is the point of a palate cleanser between 2 different dishes? Why do we like to have objects on our desk that we can fiddle with? Like these things are actually very, very simple. I find it funny that for so many of us around the world, the moment that feels like that moment to let your mind wander is like watching the 3 little dots while someone's texting you on Teams. Well, like, that's a sad moment. If that's the one kind of moment in the day that feels like meditation. But the small moments are what our life is made up of in the end. And the idea that it's the big ones, or you wait till the ship comes in, or I'm going to wait till vacation or whatever, it's seductive to think that that's going to solve it, but that's not actually going to change the day-to-day experience. And to be honest, part of this idea and what I hate so much about the well-being industry in this country is that it's designed to make it look hard and expensive and not for you, right? Like that's part of what a lot of this narrative is. It's very elitist and it's very pricey and it's very consumerist. And it's just honestly not where the honest answer is.
there we have a lot of answers and wisdom from you. Thank you so much, Melissa, and good luck. We hope we can spread more of the movement and the breakthroughs across the world. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for the conversation. Thank you.
How cool was that? Let's take the 2 minutes. 2 minutes is 120 seconds. It's not such a long time, but it has a huge impact. Take advantage of that as leaders, as team members. Inspire others. And take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday. Come and join us. Don't miss out. Learn with others. Ask questions. And Take It from the Iron Woman is also the book Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Get it in your local bookstore, in the library, or download it. Subscribe and like to our podcast on the platform you're listening today. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.